response you are getting, apparently the server is failed with the valid request. If it is a 400, then definitely will be the bad request. 400 or 404 or something like that. So 300 in the sense further action need to be taken in order to complete the request. That means you need to do something else so that the request will be successfully finished. Otherwise, it is not. And two times in the sense like 200, 201, 202, 299, anything. If you get any response from 200 to 299, the request was successfully received, understood, and accepted. So this is the only positive case. Okay, so 100 in the sense information response, the request was received, continuing process. That means, let's say you are sending some request and it will take more time to process, then definitely you need to send back the response like 100 to 199. Now 200 to 299, that is a successful response. So please go ahead with this, what the status codes. This is really also important topic. Just you need to understand. You don't need to like remember each and everything. See, every status code is having a different meaning. Okay, you don't need to go and list out all those things, but at least few of the things you need to know. See, 100 in the sense, 101 is switch protocol, 102 processing, 103 early hints, 200 means okay, 201 means created, 202 means accepted, blah blah blah. These are all the things. Around 300, we do have use proxy, not modified, permanent redirect. There are a lot of meanings are there for everything. 400 in the sense it's a bad request, 401 means another else. Similarly, method not allowed 405. If the method not found 404 error, forbidden 403, payment required 402. See, there are some proper meanings for each and everything. While you are implementing your application, definitely you need to remember all these status codes. But don't try to what read and by heart all those things. Instead of that, you can go to that some particular what it is called any of the website and just take that confirmation and go to your solution architect and say that okay, temporarily disabled, we can send it to 540. Then yes, we can send that. These are all NGNX errors, but on the top, whatever you are seeing up to here, these are all the main valid status codes to send back from your server. So while you are developing any of your application by using a Node.js, definitely you need to remember the status codes. Okay. Now uh, come back to our actual session. So I just tried something like a express required express app express method and port I have mentioned. App.lesson is a method which is used to check whether the server is running fine or not in the port. And then app.get, that's what I told just now. I opened here, right? Express method path, and you need to send the handler. Okay, what are the handler? We will discuss about that. First of all, what path I need to be? Just slash. Okay, so and remember one thing: if you are using a get with a slash, then this handler will be executed. Handler in the sense it is nothing but some method. That's it. Very simple. This is nothing but some method. I can call it as a callback. Okay, I can call it as a callback, and I just mentioned something like a console.log. Oh, sorry, console.log, and I just mentioned something like a hello. That's it. Nothing much. Okay. So if you doing like so, then what is happening? Whenever this method is called, then simply print the console in your console log. That's it. Okay. Now I saved this. So the server is automatically restarted. When you refresh this one, you may not see. If you observe this one, the cross button is not refreshing. This is taking some time. If you go for inspect element, right, go to console. Inside the console, you can see that one. Let me refresh that one. Uh, okay, it is not fulfilled. The request is not fulfilled yet. But don't worry, I will tell you how to fulfill this one. Every handler will take two parameters. One is a request and next one is a response. Okay. The names can be anything. That is fine. Okay. You need to send something like a response dot end. Okay. Response dot end is a method which is used to end your response. Basically, what is happening? Like once the request come up, right? I'm not stopping that one. It's still in a continuous process. I'm just sending back the response. Then only see in a 3-layer architecture, what will happen? If you send back the response, then only the just few minutes back I have taken this session. So once the request came up from the client, the response should go back. If the response is not go back, then definitely what is happening? The server, the response not go back in the sense it is not respond. So definitely you will receive some error random, right? So that is the reason what I am doing. I'm just doing something like a response.end. Okay. Instead of response.end, we have something called a method called a send method. Okay. If you send some method, I mean, if you want to send some content from the server to the client, then you can use this method. Something like a hello Naresh IT. That's it. Simple. So what I did, something like I'm just ending the response with a send method, dot send method. I'm just see these are all the predefined. You don't need to worry about that one. So if I go here and refresh this one, hello Naresh IT node. That's it. And where we know that whether it is coming there or not. If I go to network tab, right? Inside the network tab, just inspect the element, go to the network tab. Whenever you are just refreshing that one, right? See, it is still in the pending state. So the status should be, once it is fulfilled, then definitely it is a 200 will come here. Okay, because we are not sending the status code, that is the reason it is accepted. But if you want to give it as a hand 200, then simply you can mention something like 200 and that string. That's it, nothing much. Okay, now refresh the page and just go here. Now it should come 200. Just a few minutes back, I saw this one. Okay, if I see the console.log, definitely here I thought, okay, not here, here I can print something like a hello. Okay, so express deprecated response dot send status comma body. Use response dot status dot send body instead. Okay, I'm sorry. So it's a deprecated method. I mean to say, like, I'm not aware of that thing because it's a long back I have used. That is the reason. So use a something called a status method. Inside the status, you need to mention the status dot and send a body, whatever the body you want to send, just send the body value. That's it. Now what I'm trying to do, from the express I got the response. Inside the response I just put a 200 and I send the response like a hello Naresh ID. This is what I'm expecting here. Okay, fine. I restarted my server and just refresh my page and I go to the network tab. Inside the network tab I got a response something like a hello Naresh ID. And remember one thing, it is a simple, I mean to say, like, just slash, that's it, nothing much. Okay, it's just a slash, nothing will happen here. But let's say I want to implement something different, something like this. When I click on this one, so app dot get of slash about, let's say this is one endpoint. I want to get some response by this endpoint. Okay, I don't want this console.log and all. Instead of that, I will just press something like uh, something like a H1 tag, and inside that slash H1. You know what is a H1 tag, right? H1 heading tag. Okay, this is test page. Let's see. Okay, so whenever I press on this control slash about, then definitely I want to receive some response from the server with the 200 status and with the heading tag like that. This is a test page. Now, if you refresh this one, right, inside the network tag, you can see there is nothing. Hi, Naresh, this is what. Then if you put like slash about, right, when you press a slash about, then what is happening? This is a test page. See, the about call is happening here, and this is the response. If you go for the headers, this is what the call is. I got to get to 200. Okay. Okay. So you need to understand few of the things here. What are the parameters you are passing here? Those are called the URL parameters or called as a query parameter. Okay. That is what I am mentioning here. Okay. When the data passing through the URL called as query parameters, or some people call it as a query params. Okay, some people call it as URL parameters. Okay, query parameters. Okay, just about, I'm just talking about a get call, right? So that is the reason I just mentioned this get call here. So when the only, remember a few of the points, while you are using a get call, the request can, array. Okay, the request can be hit from URL, I mean, it's like browser or postman or so extra. Okay. Now, all the parameters to the server can be sent by using URL only. Okay. Only by using URL you can send them. Okay. Parameters. What happened to the keyboard? Parameters which are sent through the URL are called as query parameters. Okay, just remember these 3 points. The request can be hit from either a browser or a postman or a SOAP. All the parameters to the server can be sent by using a URL only. Parameters which are sent through the URL called a query parameters. Basically, why this get method will use to get some data from the server. So now you may have the question, we are sending the parameters, but you are telling like it is which is used to get the data from the server. No, it is not like that. Remember one thing, any methods can be used for any purposes. What I mean is, You can use either a get method or a post method or a put method or a delete method, anything to get the data or the post the data to the server. But there is a specific name for some of the methods which are used for only some purposes. Get is always used to get. Can you give me HTML tag? What? Can you give HTML tag in? What is that means, Divyansh? I didn't get your point. Yes, we can give the HTML tag. See, that is a server-side program is running, right? See, whenever you are using a H1 tag, definitely that is printing here. You can give anything, whatever the string you are passing, the browser will take that response. That is what the thing is, right? Client in the sense that is a browser, it will take the response, and it is browser responsibility to display that one. Browser is saying H1 tag, automatically the DOM will render in that way. It is not like you need to pass only the JSON or you need to pass only the HTML or text or a table or image. Anything is fine. Okay, so this is how the get method is. Basically, get method is also used to post some data to the server, but always remember the thing. Get method is having some specific name and it is used for some specific purpose. The purpose is to get the data from the server. Okay, if you go for here http methods, right, here you can see something like a get method, right? If you go for a get method and read the point, the get method requests the target resource transfer a representation of its state. Get request should only retrieve the data and should have no other effect. This is also true for some other http methods, but for retrieving resource without making any changes, get is preferred over a post as they can be addressed through the url. So mostly whenever you are trying to fetch some data from the server, definitely you need to implement in such a way like you need to use a get method. Okay, are we clear about this one? Okay, great. So now we have something called some concept called uh, middlewares. Okay, first of all, you need to know what is a middleware. Middleware is nothing but a simple function. Okay, inside the just a minute. Let me give you 1 minute, guys. I will try to show you the Express framework here. See, this is app.get method, post method, app.put method, app.delete method. Okay, this is how we will use, but I want to show you something called middlewares, right? So now go to the middlewares. See, this is a simple things, but you can learn. Don't go like you need to enhance your things by reading the few of the things. I will try to explain what is this middleware is. Okay, always remember that middleware is a function. Just now I told like middleware is also a function that have access to the request object, okay, and the response object and the next function in the application request response cycle. There is something called application request response cycle. That is what I told. One request will come to here and one response will come to here. You remember when the initial days I told you there is a request will come. Okay, if you forget about that one, I will show you what? Where is the cursor? Okay. If you remember this diagram properly, right? Here I have added one request will come to the application server and the request will go here through the middleware. What this middleware will do, it will apply some filter kind of stuff. Whatever it want to perform, it will perform this one. And then it will send back the response. And the response will go back to the server again. And the server will send back the response to the client. That is what happens in a real response and request life cycle. Okay. The same way we are trying to implement here. Okay, what we will try to implement, first of all, try to understand what is a middleware is. Okay, so what is a middleware? Middleware is nothing but I told you like some function. Okay, so if you want to go with a simple middleware, right, first of all what I will do, I will just write down one function. Basically, let's say there is a sum function. I don't have anything. Okay, sum is my function. Okay, inside the sum function, or let me add something like a test function. Okay, first of all, we will go with the without any parameters. There is some function called a test function. Okay, here what I will try to do here, something like this is my first middleware, let's say. This is what I wrote here. That means, what is that? This is nothing but one function. You can either write it in a function notation or you can use it something like this. Okay. So every middleware to the Node.js will execute with the help of one function, which is called a use method. Use is the method which is used to which is work as a wall. I just told you, right? This is just a wall here. Okay. If you see this diagram, this middleware, whatever the middleware will execute here, they will execute by using a method called a use. Inside the use, let's say you just put a test method. That's it. Nothing much. Okay. Now what is it means? Whenever you are requesting anything, whether it is a get or post or put or delete, I don't care. But once the request come to my node server, then definitely what I want to do, first of all, I will execute this middleware and then only I will go for an actual request and response. Right. So now I restarted my server. Now go back to here. and go back to your what actual code. See, if you observe this one, right, there is nothing here. See, this is my first middleware, there is nothing here because I didn't refresh. Now when I go back to my first middleware, I mean to like very first one. I mean to say, like, you remember, like, this is the one, console.log hello, so on, so on, so, right? So first of all, what I expected, whenever the slash is called, I mean to say, like, no, there is no any endpoint. By the time, by default, this will execute, and by the time hello will call. That is what just few minutes back we discussed. And hello narration will go back to the same HTML page. That is what we learned. But now when I just hit a enter here, what is happening here? Let's see. Okay, so when I go here, right, server is up and running 3000. So that means first app.listen will call. After that, what will happen? My middleware is called. This is my first middleware. Okay, the problem here is again the middleware is stopping here. After that one, we are not ending this response, right? Earlier we have a request and response, so we have stopped something like a request dot status dot something like a send or end and all. So see, if you use this one, the cursor is, I mean, it's like the page is keep on loading at it is showing like a status is a pending. What does that mean? That means we are not closing or we are not writing the proper code here. And remember one thing, how we can write the proper code? Go to your what Express.js documentation, writing middleware for use of Express.js. Always remember that when you read this one, right, it will clearly mention that every middleware will take a three parameters. One is a request, next one is a response, next one is a next tick. Did you ever heard about this next tick? You remember when we are talking about a process dot next tick? While we are learning about a process, right? Process dot next is one of the tick I told you. Callback or see, request is nothing but a HTTP request argument to the middleware function called a REQ by convention. HTTP response argument to the middleware function called as response by convention. Next tick is nothing but a callback argument to the middleware function called next by convention. Okay, basically what it will do, every middleware will take a three parameters by default. One is a request, next one is a response, next one is something called a next tick. Okay, so next is nothing but a callback. You remember when we are talking about a callback method, every method will take another parameter as a callback, another method. So this is what called as callback. When this callback will execute, after all the code inside the middleware execute, then we will keep something called a next method. This is nothing but a one callback method. Okay, now we restarted the server, right? Now I'm just stopping my server one more time. I'm just restarting fresh middleware. I'm going to select. Now what you will do, port is server is running on port 3000. Now what we are doing is we are going to our browser and we are just refreshing our first page. Okay, see, I'm clearing out all these things and just going here and just click on enter here. Now I'm getting it reserved for status and hello narration is my text string. But if you go to the server here, right, in the server you can see this is my first middleware. That means before hello this is executing. What is that means? First app.listen will execute, next app.use will execute, and then app.get or post or put or delete or patch or something other things will be executed. Okay, now the same way will work for other endpoints as well. For example, if I go with the slash about, now if I press on enter, see about 304, this is the test page, but before this one something is happening inside my server. What is that? This is my first middleware. See, whether you are calling a default one, it is executing. Whether you are calling a about call, it is executing. That means app.use is a method which is used to execute all your middlewares. So basically, where we will use this middleware. For example, whenever the request came to your server, if you want to prepare your application in a secure way, then what you need to do is first you need to take the request and you need to check whether the token is available there in the node. Basically, there is something called a JWT is one of the concepts we are going to discuss. In that time, I will tell you like how the token will be generated and how the token will be inserted inside this request. So what developers will do, they will just check that request. They will just check the request and check whether the token is there or not. If the token is available, and they will pass it to the what middleware function. So middleware function request parameter will take the token and it will check whether the token is good or not. If the token is bad, then definitely they can send it back here. So for example, see, I'm sending a few things. Okay, I will give you some simple example. Basically, what happened, right? I told you I mean, I have given you some notes here. If you remember something, whatever the parameters you are passing uh, to the get call, they are called as a query parents. They are called as a query parents. Okay. So first of all, the very first thing what I want to do is, first of all, this middleware is executing, right? Inside the middleware, this is my first middleware. This is the part we are executing. After that, what I will do, I will just put a console.log and I will just try to see what is the request means. So what is the request coming from the client? I mean to say like this is a client, right? Client is nothing but one browser. Okay. Now if I hit something, what is coming from here? Okay, if I hit from something here, now the request went there. I will tell you this is what my request is. If you go to the headers, so these are the all the things which will go to the server. Along with that, you can see the preview of the response and the response. These are the different. This is the incoming and this is the outcome. Okay, outgoing. Sorry, this is the incoming response and it is outgoing header. What is outgoing header? Request method, status code, remote address, connection, and if you are passing any query parameters or anything, everything will go from here. Okay, first of all, if you go to the server, right, I just put a dump of request, right? If you go for a dump of request, you see there is a very big object is printing you. This is all the request is. See how much big the request is. See, from start from here, incoming. This is my first middleware. It is printed here. From here, the incoming messages are printing something like a length, pipes, row, blah 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 blah, state, connection, max, error handler, cost, everything. Everything is printing here. The events we are printing, and something like I will show you like a params. Okay, the params query of params are something like a empty object because we are not passing any query parameters. That is the reason. Now, how we can get the query parameters from here? Okay, I will show you. Basically, if you observe any of your web applications, right? Basically, what they will do something like a question mark. See, whatever the endpoint you need to give, just give that one and mention a question mark. After that, whatever the parameters you give each and every parameter with a separated by ampersand. Remember, every parameter will be separated by ampersand. For example, my something like a go with a simple mathematics. X equals to 10. Okay. Now x equals to 10. When I hit this one, right? Okay. Something went there. Okay. I don't know what is happening over there. Okay. Something went there. Of course, my server is not running. So let me run this one first. Okay, now if I hit the request, okay, something happened over backend, but I don't care. Come to here and go to the network tab. Check your request first. Oh, sorry. Check your request first. Inside that headers, you can see all the things like whatever you are sending, everything you can see it here. Okay, so now the payload in the sense whatever the parameters you are sending, every parameters. Now the parameters I'm sending like x equals to 10. So the parameters x equals to 10 it is displaying here. If you want it in a view source or in a view your URL encoded format, everything you can see it here. Query string parameters. I told like query parameters or query strings, right? That is what nothing but a x equals 10. If I come back to here, control F, if I go with the params, params, okay, so the query parameters, you see this object x equals to 10. Now what I will do, I will just dump a request dot query. That's it, nothing much. I will just dump a request dot query. I'll stop my server and just run my server again one more time. And let's see what are the parameters and how we can pass the multiple parameters here. First of all, I pass only one parameter x equals to 10. If you see here, right, this is my middleware and x equals 10 is my parameter. Now let's say if you want to send a multiple parameters, let's say name equals to something like a Balu, right? I pass something like this. Okay, you can give a double string or not. Okay, just I'm sorry. Okay, just press a name Balu. Just press a enter. Now what is happening? See, if you go to the request and inside the request, the query parameters x equals 10 and name equals to Balu. If you come back to here, x equals to 10 and name equals to Balu. That is the object you are receiving here. That means by using the get method, you can pass the parameters and you can get the response also back. How you get the response? By using a dot send method. How you pass the request parameters? By using a request dot query parameters, you can send the request query parameters. But how many parameters you can send? You can send any number of parameters and you can your query string can be anything. Okay, it can be how much long we don't care, but people suggested, I mean to like the best programmer suggested, always use your query string less than 256 characters. If you are giving more than 256 characters, this complete URL is like shown like something different. See, for example, if I go for icicibank.com, right, see, just I will show you some simple example in real time. icicibank.com, right? So when you click on this one, then what is happening? See, in the URL you didn't see anything, but if you go for a login in personal, right? If you observe this one, see how much big it is. How much big it is? It is a very big, right? So people suggested not to go with this much, but it is a financial domain, right? Obviously, they need to have a very careful. So that is the reason. Even if it is a more than 256 characters, they won't care. So that is the reason. If your request query parameters are a very big, see, every query parameters must have some ampersand. If you observe this one ampersand, underscore GL is one of the parameters. GL equals to that value. Again, if you observe here, ampersand underscore GA equals to some value, right? These are all the values which we are passing to the server. Okay. Now, after you logged in with some username and password, again, this will be different. Okay. And remember one thing, always try to use your query parameter string or query length string less than 256 characters. That is the best practices people suggested in your real-time applications. Okay. Now, request.query will display all your query parameters. Now, let's say if query parameters are there, right? Then what I will just take some constant here. So what is this constant? Object destructuring. If I am not wrong, object destructuring is one of the method. Request.query is my object. I just put a request.query and x.name. Then what will happen? From the request.query, x will come here and save it inside this variable. From the request.query, name will come here and it will save here. You cannot give alias names until unless you are using a typeless script or as something like a variable something like this. You can give some alias names also, but for now don't go for that experiment. At least I go with this simple terms like x and name. Now your question is some console.log. If I print something, this is called object destructuring. Okay, I'm just printing something like a x value is equals to something like x value here, and similarly console.log of something uh, name value is equals to something called a name. Okay, that is what I try to display here. Okay, and now if you are hitting your server, then what will happen? See, now let's say if I hit my server, if you observe here, right, x value is a 10 and name value is a value. Yeah, great, now I'm getting that value. Now what I will do, I will just check some condition. If x value is sorry, if x value is less than 10, if x value is less than 10, I need to do something else. What I need to do, I need to go for and proceed for a further step. That means whenever you call the next tick always indicates that you are passing the controller from one method to another method. See, this is all my what it is called middleware, right? After this middleware, whenever the see first middleware will execute, after that this get method will call, right? So slash above, then in that cases this method will execute only at the time of this condition is a pass. That means whenever the middleware saying let go for a next, then it will execute this part. If it is not sending that next tick, then simply what you can do, you already have a response here, right? So go for a response dot, you can use a status here. Inside the response dot status, you can send something like 400 or something bad request dot, you can send some value, something like just put a head one tag, h1 head one tag, okay, slash h1. Now what I'm mentioning here is, hey, sorry, there is an, okay, instead of all these things, forward in the sense bad request, so I'm just mentioning a bad request. That's okay. Let's see, you can put anything, but I just want to mention something like a bad request. Now let's see what will happen. If x value is less than 10, then only this error will come. Otherwise it will go for a next and it will go for a this endpoint and it will execute this piece of code, right? So for now, your convenience, what I will do, this is one callback method. So now what I will do, I will just put one const. Okay. So the callback is something like I will name it as a success handler. I name it as a success handler. Okay. Inside the success handler, I will just call it as one arrow function, simple arrow function. Instead of putting all that, I'm just putting here something like a success handler. That's it, nothing much. Okay. See, both the things are same. Even you can put the entire function here, or you can keep it inside a function expression like something called one variable and put that variable here and just call it that one. Both are same. Okay. The same way you can do this one as well. See, const test is one function, inside that request response test is taking, right? Here you are doing something that is same test method you are test variable you are using inside the middleware, right? Now remember the things, when the request is having a value greater than or equals to 10, then only it will go for a next tick. Otherwise it will stop here only. Let's try how this will work here. Okay, now if I am printing like x equals to 10 and name equals to value, if I send that request, great, this is a test page, this is what I'm expecting here. Now let's say if I'm sending something like x value is a 1 and name equals to value, then what will happen? If I press enter, right, see the 400 bad request, this is the status we are expecting. Go for address, and this is the response 400 bad request, and the response is a bad request. The preview you can say the payload x equals to 1 and value you are sending, and the request address are these things, and you are getting a bad request. How many of you are really didn't understood what is this middleware means? Middleware is nothing but just like a wall This valve will first stop your request and check entire request. And if the request is going good, then only it will process the request like by using a next method or next tick. If the method is failing or if your condition is failed here, then simply you are sending something like a response dot status or something. So this is where the wall, as I mentioned, like we need to create a strong security for any endpoint. By the time first we will check the token. If the token is a valid, then only we will process. Otherwise, we will not process. And remember one thing: we are using app.use as a test. This is the middleware, as I mentioned, right? But whenever you are using app.use of test, this will work for every API, whatever hitting for the server. Whether it is a get method with a default value, whether it is a get method with a slash about, whether it is a get method with some different endpoint or something. But if you want to apply this particular end or this particular middleware only for slash about, but not for a simple then what you can do, you just comment on this app.use. You don't need this one. Instead of that, just take that method. You can pass this app.get method is there, right? About and just put a test comma success handle. Now, just imagine this test is also one callback function. We can keep it this one. This entire code we can replace here. The selected part entire code is there, right? We can replace here. And success handler, we can replace entire this one here. But for your convenience, if you want to see that like in a good way, so what I will do, I just make it as a very simple success handler and the test this one. Now what I will do, I will take something called another folder called something like a handlers, okay, or another folder called middlewares, let's say. So sorry, I will go here and I will create another folder called a middlewares. Now my first middleware is only to apply for this about. That one is only for test. See, this middleware is applicable only for slash about. It won't apply for any other middlewares, right? So now the test function is there. This is the test function, right? So now simply what I will do, I will just cut all this stuff. Okay, go to middleware and I will create one file, something like a. I will create one middleware, something like a test.js. Okay, for now I'm just keeping a test.js. Later we can move that one. Okay, if you want to export this module, you remember like yesterday class I told, I mean day before yesterday class I told you like exports dot test. This did we cover this one? Exports dot test. So whenever you export this test one, right, the test.js contains this value. Whenever you go to app.js, simply what you can do is you can just put a object destructuring. Simply you are calling a test method, okay, from where you are using a require, and inside the require, you can just mention the path dot slash, okay, sorry, dot slash. You need to go back once, right? Or dot slash, sorry, dot slash middlewares are there slash test.js is there, right? Just test.js and just save it. Okay, now test is my method, so you can use the test method here. Now the app.js, see how much it is clean. Now I don't need this one. Okay, leave it. Now it's a very simple. Go back to the success handler. Success handler is also one function, right? Now what I will do, I will cut this one, go to handlers folder. Now I will just create one file, something like a success handler. That's it. Dot .js. Simple. Here I just pasted this one. As I mentioned earlier, either you can use this way, something like a exports.test is one of the easiest way, or if you want to pass a multiple these things, right? You can write something like a exports dot sorry module dot exports. Basically, don't use this module dot exports for now because it may not work in what it is called in the configuration file. You need to config.js file will become later. In the config.js, you need to mention about these modules. Currently, we are not using the modules. That's the reason I'm not using this one. So simply use a export dot success handler. That's it. Now, what you need to do, this success handler is there, right? Now you need to take that one inside the app.js. So simply what I will do, I will just put a const success handler equals to require of dot slash your for file path is under the handlers slash success handler dot js. Save. Now the success handler is here. Now you don't need from here. So simple, just very simple and short. See, this is your get request and this is your about handler. Okay. So test method. Now when I save this one and I go to success handler, I will just put one debugger here. And after that, I will go to the test middleware and I will put one debugger here. Okay, and here. Let's see inside the if condition, let's say. Okay, now what will happen now if I go here and you remember like debug and run when we use here. Okay, so I'm just stopping here the my my server. I'm just running through the debugger. Okay, I'm using a node.js. Okay, first if I go to for a node.js, then it will come to your server is running up and running on port number 3000. Now go to your web browser and just run this one, like this one. See, it is keep on revolving. I mean, it's like it will keep on load. Why? Because we have kept some debug points, right? So first the debug point, the server hit will come to the app.js, but immediately whenever the slash about is called, immediately it will go to the test middle. The test middleware is this one. So this is where my debugger stop. From here, what I will do, I want to go for the next location. So it is coming to here. It is going for the next one. Okay. So console.log is executed. Just give me a minute, please. I will move this one. Okay. Now go for next one. Come back here. Okay. And then go next and go next. See, it is coming to the test.js. After the middleware is success, right? It will go for a next method. Okay. If I put middleware here, right? See, basically it is not going for the next because we are passing a parameter as a one. So that is the reason it is going here. After that, what will happen? Again, it is going back to the previous code. Okay. Now I want to go back here. Okay. Now come out from there. Now see the response dot this one. After that, come out from here and again come out from here. It is going internal calls as well. Okay. I don't want to go for internal calls. Simply I need to just step over my continue F5. Okay, it will go for the next app.js and it is executed something like a value x equals one name equals to value and the request is fulfilled. How we know that request is fulfilled? Go to here and you can see bad request. Now if I do with the same thing, something like this, x equals to 10. Now I'm passing some meaningful value, right? Okay, now I'm expecting to go for a success handler. Now what it will happen? See, first of all, console.log x value equals to 1 and y value equals to something. This value is displayed here, and after that it will go for the next step. Okay, console.log name value is displayed, and after that I will go for the next step. It is checking the condition x is less than 10 or not. Yes, the condition is true. Now it is going for the next tick, right? After that, it is going for a internal next, how that method will work and then go. So it is going internally all the things. I will just going for a continue method. So directly it is coming to the success handler. Why? Because you remember app.js, if the test is method is a middleware and it is going for the next tick, the next success handler, whatever it is, that will execute. That is, it will come to the success handler and it will showing something like us and so on so on. So just continue. Now go to your browser. Sorry, go to your browser and see this is the test page and you see the successful response here. Did you guys understood like what I wrote and how I'm running each and everything? Okay, somebody put a thumbs up there. Who is this thumbs up? Okay. Tell me if you have Divyansh, thank you, or anybody else have any questions about this one. It's a very simple code. I just added one express handler. Okay. I just taken one middleware to test and one success handler here. Okay. And remember one thing, if you are including the JavaScript files or ES files, if you are TypeScript enabled or JavaScript enabled, you don't need to put this JS, but still things will run. Okay, no issues. There is no need of putting like .js and because you are writing the modules and exporting that modules, so that is the reason inside the app.js you don't need to put that those things. Okay. So first of all, we explained about something like a app.use. You remember app.use is my method. Inside that I just use a test. These are whenever you are using an app.use, that means it is the middleware which will execute for all the requests, whether it is a get or post or put or delete, I don't care. But if you want to write your own custom middleware, just create another folder called a middlewares folder. Inside the middlewares folder, just create one file, write your own middleware, and make sure you are passing three parameters to the middlewares. One is a request, next one is a response, and next one is the next. If the request and response are good, then it is fine. I mean, it's like if there is a see basically where we will use like JWT token validation or a request validation. In these places, we will use something called a middleware. Once the middleware is a very popular and very strong feature in a Node.js. So you have to be very very careful while you are using a middleware. So if the values are there, then you can go with the next step. I mean, if it is a positive way, then you can go for a next function. Otherwise, come for a negative. In the negative scenario, just go end your response by using a response.status or response.end or something. But if you are using in the positive way, just take the next tick So whenever you are using a next tick, so dot get method, how this will work, you can see. Remember one thing: it is not only just one middleware. You can add any number of middlewares. For example, I'm adding something like my own test middleware. Okay, let's say my own test is one of the middleware. Okay, but it is not here. So don't worry. What I will do, I will write as some another own middleware. Just save it here. I will go to the middleware test file. So here, what I will do, I will just try to I'll just try to something like export dot, okay. So exports, right? Sorry, exports dot my own test. Okay. Here, remember this thing. Always remember every callback or the middleware function in middleware will take three parameters. One is a request, next one is a response, and next one is a next. Okay, that's it. You are not doing anything here. Simply you are just putting a console dot log. I am oh sorry I am second middleware. That's what I want to print. That's it. Nothing much. After that, what you need to do, I just want to flow this one. I mean to say like I don't want to stop this middleware. Simply I will put a next. Okay. So people may get it out. Can we use only one middleware? No. You can write any number of middlewares. Not only custom middlewares, you can write app.use of test, app.use of my own, so on, so on. So any number of middlewares you can write. Okay. Now if I go to the terminal, and if I run my server npm run start, what will happen here? Okay, basically I'm not using going through the debuggers and all. Throw error. What is that? Unhandled error event. Event listener address is already something. Okay, this is running, right? So we need to stop this one. This is the one where we can flag stop. Now I disconnected this one. Now the debugger was stopped. Now I come back to the terminal. Inside the terminal, I will just kill this process and I will just try to run my server one more time. If it is running, then I will go back to here. See, this is a successful case, right? Basically I will go with a successful case. So then what will happen if you refresh the page within fraction of seconds? You observe this one. This is my first middleware. Inside that middleware, I'm creating one object. I'm displaying one object. These are nothing but my query parameters. After that, displaying like I'm second middleware. So this is running and it is going for the next, and it is running and it is going for the success handler. Inside the success handler, we are just displaying this one. If you want to put some console, you can put it in. Later you can give a try. Just for today, just go with this middlewares. I mean, it's like Express framework. Just go with this guide and writing a middleware and using a middleware. Right? Go and read about this writing middleware. How we can write the middleware. See, as I mentioned something, middleware is for this one, it will take three parameters: function, request, response, and then next. After that, middleware function is my logger. You can write any logger or something, right? So you can use that one. And okay, you see app.use of my logger. They are using my logger. They are writing one function. They are just putting one next tick. That's it. Middleware function request time and all. You can just, if you want to take a request time from the how much time it is running, right? So you need to calculate the request time at the starting, and the request time is finished, and the response time also you need to gather. You need to find the difference between those two, so that is the one of the way. Or I will give you some simple example. Basically people may ask you this question in your interviews: how you can track your time. I mean to say like how you know like how much time it will take your request. Let's say if you go to here, right, it will say like 27 milliseconds. If you see here, right, inside the browser, you can see like 27 milliseconds are there. But how you can find that inside the Node.js server? Inside the Node.js server, while you're developing, you're trying to develop some endpoint. By the time you want to know, like your request should be very fast. So while you are doing that implementation or that things, you can use something called a Morgan. Morgan is one of the good package. Where is that Morgan? Search. Okay, Morgan, HTTP. If you observe this one, HTTP request logger middleware for Node.js, named after Dexter, a show. A show you should not watch until completion. That means basically what Morgan will do. Morgan is the middleware which will calculate your request time and the response time. I mean, intermediate time, how much time it will take to request came here and on. So how you can utilize or how you can use that one. So simply what I will do, I will go for app.js. I will just close all this stuff. Okay, currently I don't need anything. I will go for app.js. Here, app.use is there, right? Inside app.use, I will use something called a Morgan. But if you want to use a Morgan, go for npmjs.com, and here you can see npm I Morgan. Just copy this one and come here and stop your server here inside your terminal. Just install npm Morgan. But before that, if you go for a package.json, there is no dependencies and all. And remember one thing, always Morgan is used only for your local box purposes. So that is the reason you remember yesterday I told npm I hyphen hyphen save hyphen dev. This is the command to install any of your package into your dev dependencies than the dependencies. So first, if you are trying to install this in your dev dependency, then you can see that one it was installed successfully. The Morgan was here. Now go for app.js. Just put that one const. Morgan is your sorry. Morgan is your package name. Just put a uh, require of Morgan. Morgan. Okay, that's it. Save. Now, if I go for a Morgan, just use it as a middleware for now, and you will see a magic. Before that, first of all, go to the test.js. Here, I'm just using some console.logs. I'm just removing all the console.logs. And here, I'm trying to put some console.logs. Right? I don't want all these console.logs. So I'm just commenting out all those stuff. Okay. Only the thing is, yes, this is the line you need to unmute. Why? Because you need to check that X variable, right? Whether it is less than 10 or not. So that is the reason I unmuted. I just stopped all my debugging points as well. I don't need all this stuff. Stop it. Save. Okay. So app.js is clear. Middlewares are clear. Success handlers. Success handlers, there is no any debuggers and all, right? So first of all, go to app.js and sorry. First of all, go and run your server. Okay. Okay, here you are calling like slash about call. See, if you observe this one, server is up and running 3000 port. Now, if I go my server or my browser, and if I try to hit the enter button here, now the server is gone. Okay. Oh, something wrong. Morgan is deprecated. Use Morgan default options instead. What is that? Morgan is a deprecated. Morgan of options you need to mention. What is that? Just a minute. Morgan. Okay. Use the predefined format. Yeah. Oh. You don't need to mention all these things. Just Morgan of combine. Okay, they are just giving some value. That's it. Nothing much. Okay. Let me put that string like a Morgan method, right? Okay. I think it is a Morgan method. Okay. So now go back to here and refresh your string. Now, if you see here, right, that is nothing, just Morgan method. I used as a constant, but you need to use it as a method because simple Morgan constant is already deprecated. You need to use it as a simple, method type. If you observe this one, right, it is showing something like at what time the request came and inside the get call, and it will give all the details about your request from which browser it is coming. So everything. Okay. Now again, if I refresh this one, again refresh, 4 times if I refresh. Now what it will see? It will show you everything, like how many times the request came to your site. So internally, what it will do, like basically Morgan is a package. Before that package, you can write your own test code. So to display just a console.log with all these details by gathering a process dot information is there. Right? By using a process, you know what kind of operating system you are using or what kind of browser you are getting the request, everything inside the request details, right? You need to dump all those requests here. That's it, simple. And the response details. That is what inside the Morgan they did. If you have any question or if you want to know more about the Morgan, go to node underscore modules folder. Here there is something called a Morgan. A B C D E F G H I J K L M. Morgan. Inside the Morgan, there is something called index.js. If you go for index.js, here they are writing some piece of code about that. So they are taking like a basic or the debug Morgan, blah 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 and all. So you may not understand each and everything, but still you can take that. So this is the duplicate, right? The duplicate message will come here. Otherwise, they are taking all the details like from buffer. They are taking all the options. See the buffer stream and requested data. What is start time, started at, remote address, everything they are keeping here, and they are just debugging and sleep. I mean, they are just printing all the stuff. See, this is the middleware. That is the reason they are using the next command. That's it. Somebody is asking something, sir. You put all files in a zip file. Okay. Okay. You want to have this project. No worries. I will write down a clear notes and copy paste all these things. My intention is if I give a zip file, right? People, what you will do, you will just unzip that file and just npm run start. Boom. Okay, my job is done. Close the system and gone. So I don't want my students be like that. That is the reason what I will do. I will note down each and every step here. Go to these notes first. Okay, go to these notes and try to read that notes and implement on your own way. Just read this one. Go to the terminal and run by using a command node app.js. But here we want to utilize the capitals. So we go to package.js and add the below code. So inside the package.js and under the scripts, you need to mention like a script, blah blah blah. Start. After that, Nodeman, after install a Nodeman, go to Node, change that and add Nodeman space app.js. The same way, I will add some piece of nodes here. You just need to go and create your own server and try to run that one. But inside here, I can't mention all the debugger things and all. But instead of that, whatever the commands we are using, I will mention all the commands. You just need to go there and try to run that one. So for today's homework is just go here and try to learn about the middlewares, how we can configure the module. See module.exports, they are doing something like this, right? They are importing that into the app.js and app.use of some method, whatever they want to use. They are simply using that one. Simple. So just read about this guide, go to writing middlewares, using middlewares. Oh, don't just go with these two things. Okay, forget about this routing one. We will clearly talk about this writing. Like there is a router app is there. I will go with the router and I will discuss with you in the coming classes. Okay. Okay, I have unmute. I mean, I have allowed you everyone to unmute yourself and ask your questions. Please feel free to ask your questions. If you don't have any questions, then you can drop off.
Sir, here middleware in the sense it will verify any server side verification or
Yeah, server
what
side
what?
verification. This is all we are writing inside the server only, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Inside the server, you are
And
doing something. Inside the server, before hitting your request, first of all, you need to check something called whether the request is a valid coming from the valid source or not. See, there is two things called authentication and authorization. If the resource is coming from the proper resource source, then it is called a authorization. Then whenever you give the current credentials and the current credentials are correct, then it is called a authentication. I mean to say, like, let's say you entered some proper username and password, that topic is called authentication. Authorization in the sense by using a JWT, you can do that, or by using a OAuth2, you can do that. Whenever you implement the JWT or OAuth2, at the very first time, whenever the request comes, sometimes what people will do, hackers will not hit from their browsers and all. They have some other tools like a Postman or SOAP, some other party tools or the third party tools. They will take the tools and try to hit your server to break your server. Okay, in that cases, here you will add one middleware, and that middleware will check whether the resource or the request is coming from the proper resource or not. For that, we have some other concept. I will tell you, like in every request, you need to send one token. A part of that, the same domain, cross origin domain will be there. Okay, there is some separate concept. I will definitely explain you. So in the server, what we will do first, we will check the cross domain, whether the request is coming from the same origin or not. If it is the concept is called CORS, CORS, cross origin resource sharing. There is some concept called see, there are few things in your bucket. Definitely, you need to learn. One is the course cross origin resource sharing. This is what you need to learn. Next one is the CSRF. CSRF stands for the cross site request forgery. CSRF, cross site request forgery. This is also you need to learn, because these are the very security related stuff to make your request very, what it is called, strong. I mean to say, like, very safe and secure. Cross-site request forgery, CSRF. Just now I told, right? Okay, this is one of the OPSAP rule. Every project wherever you go, even if it is a Node or Java or PHP or anything, whatever the server side coding you are writing, definitely people will follow that this kind of standards. That is OPSAP Foundation define some standards like SQL injection, CSRF, CORS. These kind of rules we have to definitely follow. Out of all those, these CORS and CSRF are definitely used inside every node project because they are built in sometimes. At that time, we will check whether the request is coming from the proper domain or not, our own domain or not. If the request is not coming from our own domain, then definitely we need to stop at this middle layer and we need to send back the response and saying that, hey, it is some hacking request, so we should not allow this. Definitely, people will log that one. So after some period of time, like for every 3 months or month, every 1 month, an automatic mail will be triggered to the client saying like, okay, these many hackers are trying to, or these many hacker requests are coming to your particular server. That is how we will configure our node server.
okay. And one more thing, sir. Here, how the middleware knows whether it is a proper request or not? On
That
what
is what I'm
basis?
telling, right? See, okay. Now this request is coming from HTTP localhost only, right? If you observe this one, the domain is a HTTP colon 3000, right? That is what the request. See how our middleware know, because for every middleware we are passing three few things. One is a request, next response, and the next request parameter contains each and every information, like from which browser it is coming, from which operating system it is coming, from which domain it is coming, at what time it is started, how many times of which it is coming. Every information request model contains. So we need to write our code in such a way. So if we are having inbuilt packages like JWT and all, that is fine. If it is not there, then definitely what we need to do, we need to elaborate this request parameter, like dump that and check that each and every parameter, check it is a valid one or not. For example, mine is a, for example, I'm using something like a okay, Naresh IT site, for example. Okay, so Naresh IT site contains two parts. Okay, first part is a client part, next one is a server part. Basically, client part is nothing but a HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. They have used that. They simply put one form in that Naresh IT site. Okay, now what people will do? They come for some you know what it is called. They come for some information and all. By the time they want to know more, so simply what they will do, they will fill the form and they will send the data, right? Inside the server, whoever developer implement that server, first they will check that whether the request is coming from https colon double slash www.nareshit.com or not. If the request is coming from that place, then only they will allow our request, and they will save all the information to the database. For example, what hacker will do, they know this is a form, these are the form details they are sending, simply they will take all the form details, and using the postman they can try to hit. But once the postman request comes to this particular server, the our middleware should identify whether the request is coming from which domain. If it is not from the www.narration.com, instead of that it is coming from www.postman.com, then definitely it will stop the request and it should not share or save all the details into our databases. Clear?
Yeah.
No? Veera, feel free to speak. I mean, if you still feel like you have any question, please let me know. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
I
sure,
have.
sure, sir.
Okay,
Yeah,
Sandeep.
hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Sandeep.
Yeah, what is the domain and subdomain and query string differences? I don't know exactly.
HTTP
Can you tell me?
localhost. This is what your domain name. This is a port number. This is a API name. And whatever the parameters you are sending, or sending all these called the query parameters. Hostname can be localhost in a my local box. For example, if you go for this encyclopedia site, right? en.wikipedia.org. This is what the domain name for that one. And wiki, see, https colon double slash and en English dot en stands for the English. Okay, wikipedia.org. This is what their domain name. And wiki is the API slash VP slash HTTP is their API, and slash hash code request methods. Maybe they are using some PHP, or I don't know what kind of technology stack they are using. It can be either Java or PHP or .NET. There may be parameters are taking in this format like a hashtag request method. If you are going for a node site, right? Nodejs.org, https colon double slash nodejs.org is my domain name. Slash en is my route. Okay. If I click on something called a blog, en slash blog is another endpoint. When that endpoint is it, that response, this entire response is coming to here. Similarly, for example, javascript.info. Here, if you go here, right, https colon double slash javascript.info is my what domain name. If I go for something like a event delegation is a topic. Okay, let's see. Okay, now slash event delegation is my endpoint. So they wrote it in the server like slash event delegation. See, remember here it is slash about, right? Here they wrote something like a event hyphen delegation. So whenever they wrote something like this, they want to display that particular value. So here they are inside the success handler, they are handling all this stuff.
Yeah, okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Go ahead. If you have more questions, that means at least you are listening. That is what I am thinking. Okay. Seems like we are all good. Can we drop off for today?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Please.
Saturday we have a class, right?
Recording stopped.
What?